Loading snacks.
What's good, Loading Snacks Universe? Your boy Jokes is here. I got the homie Marcus, and it's time for another edition of the Finisher Podcast.
Finisher. The boys are back
Welcome,
in town.
welcome everyone in, whether you're listening, whether you're watching. Um, it's been a little bit like I'm back. I gotta give props to my man Marcus and my homie Sin for holding it down. I was down at one point, so I was not able to be on here, but I am back now. Me and Marcus are here. Thank you, good sir. As we always
No
say, the show
problem.
must go on. Um, but as usual, we're here to talk about all things wrestling in the world, whether it be present, past, or some future things that we have coming up. But we're just here to have a good time and talk about wrestling. We want to involve you guys along with it as well too. Um, just remember, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, make sure you get this Beacons link up top. That's beacons.ai/loading snacks. This is where you can click on and find everything related to the Finisher podcast. Also, everything else involving loading snacks. So whether it may be anime chat, obviously wrestling chat, weekly, thriller park, whatever we may have going on right now, your Beacons link is the way to get to everything loading snacks. Um, I'm ready to have a good time, Marcus. You ready to talk about some wrestling, good sir?
Oh yes, I've been waiting for weeks.
Things landscape in wrestling changes on a weekly basis. Everything we get hit with something. There's something new. There's something good. There's something bad. Like it's everywhere. Um, but wrestling is one of those things. I think Gage says it the best. Wrestling just never ends. There's something wrestling every single day of the week.
That
Um,
is factual.
and with that, I want to start with WWE's new initiative that they have. They're having a new program called WWE ID. Now, we know WWE started working at what they call their NIL or their next in line program, which was really revolving a lot of, college athletes trying to get into the business, try to learn, come in, learn the business aspects, getting in the ring. Like, because let's be honest, when you're going after like your college athletes, physical conditioning is for the most part is in a good shape, but obviously transitioning to wrestling is a little bit of a change on the body that you have to go through. Um, but now WWE is taking it another step forward, and with the WWE ID program, this is going to be a way for indie wrestlers to be able to express their interest in being able to wanting to join the WWE. Um, I feel like we may have already been seeing some of the works of this already in motion in different aspects. Now,
Mhm.
I'm going to ask you once we kind of get through this, like, I feel like there's good and bad in this. Um, the good, obviously, more opportunity to get a lot of people on some of these indie circuits that, unfortunately, depending on the area that you live in, you may not necessarily get to see some of those indie promotions. Some, unfortunately, don't have television deals. They don't have those type of things to make sure that their product can be seen by the whole entire world. But we do have the likes of like your YouTubes and social media, of course, nowadays that we're able to see and consume those type of things. But now when you introduce something like this is just opening the world of a possibility for indie stars to be able to get to, we're going to say, the grandest stage of them all, because for all intents and purposes, WWE is the biggest wrestling promotion that you're going to honestly be able to be a part of right now. Now, for all good, there could be some bad. Um, Obviously, with this being new, I don't know how this actually, we don't know how this fully works just yet. Um, because obviously, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of indie stars that are going to want to be able to be a part of this process in trying to get into the WWE. But I want to know how this potentially may affect these indie promotions. Because if you start having, whole entire promotions start trying to get into this program, we may start to see a little bit of diminish on that indie circuit, which
Yep.
I don't want to see. Because, like,
It's
let's be
kind of
real.
like what they did. They bought the territories, and then like your OVW and everything became NXT. Well, it became the WWE Performance Center, which then
Evolve
transitioned into NXT.
100%. So for me right now, I'm in a place of intrigue. Um, like, let's just start. Like, TNA. Now, by all means, I wouldn't consider TNA to be an indie promotion
Nope.
uh, at all. But I feel like when you take a TNA and a WWE to sit them right next to each other, clearly, obviously, the WWE is going to be the bigger company of the two, which makes TNA look like an
A
indie
smaller,
promotion, a
yeah,
smaller
indie.
pond. Because we've already seen, like, let's be real, we've seen very small partnerships with, like, let's start with Mickey James. Was the first kind of catalyst we saw with the whole TNA work, where she came over, participated in the Royal Rumble as the Knockouts champion, or at the time
Yep.
Impact Women's champion, I think is what it was. So I think we've seen small pieces of maybe what this has evolved into over time. Obviously, WWE working with TNA and having honestly a great partnership and a great relationship right now that we're seeing between the two brands. But now, when you make the indie pool a direct, I'm going to say a direct way to potentially go straight to the WWE. Obviously, I'm sure probably NXT is going to be involved in the middle of there somewhere. Some will probably still go to NXT to develop. There may be the small handful that they may deem a ready type to maybe go to a main roster. I kind of don't think we'll see that. That's going to be a very small pickings of that. What do you think?
The way I view it is like it depends on where they station this like this pipeline,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. Because if it's only going to be in like one place, okay, well, anybody in the Indies can go to train, and anyone who is scouted will go there, and that's what they'll use to develop their talents and
Mm-hmm.
of like kind of polish them, and then they may end up going. They'll probably end up going NXT to be officially a part of the brand, and then that's when they'll start doing their storylines and promo work and things of that nature in a on-screen type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
um or I can see them leaning into it like not OVW, no, yeah, like is it OVW? What is the name that the joint that Al Snow manages?
It's not
Uh
OV.
is it OVW?
I didn't know if he was still Ohio Valley Wrestling or if he went to something else. I'm not 100% sure, but I know obviously
But
know.
like I can see it as, since they're going to Netflix, I can see this, since they're opening this up, that this may be like a reality thing. Is just like we're going around looking for some of the new or freshest indie people or athletic people in college or in sports or whatever, and then they bring them to that, and then they're recording them on their journey.
So you're trying to. I don't want to say exactly tough enough, but you're saying like some other iteration of something similar to that process. I guess
Yeah,
you want to
something
say.
similar to Tough Enough, like where it's not Diva Search or anything like that, but it's kind of like more so, how do I put it? like The Office without the comedy, like a TV sitcom sort of situation where they're bringing them in, they're training, you're showing their promo work. It's an episode. It's like Cops. It's just like an episodic
Okay.
thing where they're just recording stuff that's happening there, how they're training, things of that nature. I'm saying from like a business that could be down the road, but immediate, like close off cameras. Hey, you're going here. This is where you're gonna train for X amount of time. All right, if you do well here, we're going to move you to the Florida training facility, which is NXT. You're going to train down there. And then if you do really good and you show, then you'll get more on screen time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then eventually you go on to the two major brands.
Kind of one. Okay. I mean, that's an idea. I think they'll probably shy away from like going like the tough enough or like that reality true style of how what they've been doing. I think this one more plays into more of a. I'm trying to think of how. I think though if they record stuff, it's going to be more like a documentary type of thing. I think than anything else. Um, but being able to document, the early, you know what? I can't even say the early journeys, but I guess you say your early WWE journeys, because I'm sure a lot of the folks that will step foot in this are going to probably have, a lot of them are probably going to have a lot of wrestling experience. 10 years under their belt. Some people, unfortunately, can't move from like the indies into like a WWE, even an AEW and Impact Wrestling, New Japan. I would say we're seeing it happening more as these companies are starting to explore and find, new and fresh talent that they typically wouldn't see with the type of access that they currently have. Um, but like I was reading like the actual article on here, and like I'm gonna read this part on here because they specifically call out some of the wrestling schools that we're already familiar with. So, under the program, WWE will provide prominent independent wrestling schools with the WWE ID official designation, with the goal of providing new trainees and existing talent at these institutions with enhanced developmental opportunities. Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory, Seth Rollins' Black and Brave Academy, Elite Pro Wrestling Training Center, and Knox Pro Academy are the ones that they specifically call out in this actual announcement that they made. Now, imagine someone that has, started at one of these wrestling schools because of, like, say, a Cody Rhodes and being able to be trained, obviously, by the Rhodes family, which has a long history of being in a relationship with WWE. Like, that just puts another notch in that belt as a wrestling school itself. By all means, Cody being there, we know Dustin has. I believe Dustin has its own. I know, no, the Nightmare Factory. He's a part of the Nightmare Factory. The
Yeah.
whole entire thing. So
Well,
we
even Arn Anderson is technically a part of the Nightmare Factory.
Arn Anderson, and when you start to see this, it's like we already know that some of the catalysts. I'm sure we incorporate some of the ways that WWE is working probably with some of these wrestling schools. So we start, especially when you're able to give monetary type of help as well too for someone to be able to step in. That is a pretty big thing. Um, and with them calling that out, that's a pretty cool move to try to get in, new and fresh talent. Because let's be real here. Right now, where we're at, I think we're in a good place for wrestling. Um, I think
That,
like
that 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 news is really interesting because the Nightmare Factory trainees are still kind of being uh talked about and shoehorned in the AEW promotion. So that's going to be interesting if WWE says, "Hey, well,
we're
you have
designating you.
as a WWE like official training facility,
Mhm.
so you're going to get even more of the bells and whistles than what you already are learning and receiving." Then they're kind of saying, "Yo, why would you go to these places when, hey, you've been here, you put the blood on and sweat on the mat here. All right, test your metal here now
Hmm.
at NXT or whatever, however they want to say, hey, record your promo, whatever. All right, let's see if you're a fit for NXT. Or maybe you just need a little bit more time here at the factory or at Booker T's location or XYZ to get more familiar with the business.
I think that's definitely a good way to think about it. Um, because now like just being able to have like these wrestling schools, like for all intents and purposes, we're gonna like with these wrestling schools, there's a potential here that like a territory system almost could
Come
we
back.
could almost start to see a revitalization because with these schools being able to hopefully pump out stars and we start to see like let's take like OVW, which we talked about. OVW was pretty much like that stomping ground for seeing a lot of that current WWE talent. Honestly, a lot of them from that era, I think we've seen moved on. So your John Cena, your Brock Lesnar, your Batista, like they
Randy
all
Orton.
have come. Your Randy Orton have come from that OVW bubble. So we think about WWE prepping for the next 10, 20, 30 years of being able to make sure that we can get good talent and get in here to be able to create stories. Not to mention some of these that may come over in this program. Like obviously, it's designed to be for wrestling, but I have a feeling that we may also see the things of like writing and things like the storytelling. Like I think these aspects will go into it as well, where it may eventually branch off to give you, hey, maybe you being a wrestler isn't the best thing, but hey, you do have this awesome background in theater or writing. We want to bring you in and actually have you work and do stuff on that side. So I feel like
I mean,
there's,
I would hope that
I would hope,
that
obviously, I would
like
hope if we're doing
again,
this.
this is WWE. At the end of the day, this is WWE, and
I get it.
they operate on that end shaky.
I
But
get it.
I see what you're saying. It's kind of like how now currently valets don't really managers. I'm sorry, managers don't really unless you're like Paul Heyman type of level manager. You're really eye candy or you're just in the background. And before they used to have a little bit more presence, so to
Hmm.
speak. Like now it's just like you look at Scarlett and then like she doesn't really say much and so she's just there all the time. Or that one guy for the New Testament or the Testament or whatever. He's
Hmm.
kind of just there in the background, not really saying much, not really doing much, just another body. And so I just want, hey, you may not be a great wrestler, but hey, if you got good mic skills, you may have a career being a good manager or whatever going forward, or a ring announcer or a backstage interviewer, things of that nature.
I dig it. Um, so for me personally, there's an uncapped level of potential of what this program can offer for those that truly want to get themselves into the main event of the business. Like obviously, unfortunately, probably like everybody's not going to make it through this, but we're going to start to see the fruits of the labor of some of these wrestling schools being able to put out.
I hope that like they put an age limit requirement,
Mhm.
like for people who they can bring in at the youngest. I think that the age limit should be like 18, 19 at the youngest.
I can understand that. I'm gonna be honest with you with the physicality and the liability and the things that come involved in the wrestling business. I have a feeling 18 is probably going to be the starting point of this. I know obviously a lot of our current stars, past roster, they started at a very young age, and I don't think we'll probably see that as much. I'm sure some of these wrestling schools, because obviously, let's be real, middle school to high school, there is wrestling in those. Obviously, not the WWE wrestling, but we have wrestling that is
Collegiate
involved in the
wrestling.
schools, collegiate
Yep.
wrestling. So I could see where maybe there is some type of aspect where they will be able to try to bring in, some of those young ones to keep them hungry for being wanting to be a wrestler. So I think we'll see maybe something like that. But I do think 18 is probably going to be where this will start at
I
for.
mean, like the affiliate schools are different. Like I'm sure. Okay, instead of you going to like a soccer type practice or a football practice, you're going into like the Nightmare Factory and you're training because you wanted to be a professional wrestler. So that's
Mhm.
what you're doing, and you're like, hey, like here's the waiver, sign the waiver. Parental blah 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 forms, and then it's just
Mhm.
like, okay, you're coming to train in the Nightmare Factory.
I
But
dig, I dig it. So before I throw the reins over to you, so what does this do for so my thought behind this as well too, because obviously there was a point in time where we knew WWE wanted to expand obviously NXT towards we had NXT UK. Obviously UK closed down because there was supposedly the thing were in the works to do NXT Europe. We wanted to do the whole entire thing. But I feel like with doing something like this, unless we decide to expand, I don't know if there's a necessary need to do that because it seems like now we're just trying to pull the talent from whatever indie circuit you're coming from. So when we go over there, your Rev Pro Wrestling, all those UK based programs that we have over there, because obviously I'm not gonna trail on this one. I don't see any of this happening if Vince was still in control.
oh yeah, 100%. He definitely wouldn't. This wouldn't even be a
This
conversational
is
topic.
this is something completely different, and I feel like
Heck,
what's
even the
best
stuff
for
we've gotten
business.
with like the relationships that we've gotten now with like the other major promotions, like it wouldn't even exist if
Valid.
Vince was still here. And it's just an unfortunate thing to say if when certain people are in power, certain things can't get done. And it's just like if you want progress, you got to change things from within. And
Hmm.
it's just one of those things. Well, hey, this change happened from within, and now we're getting all these different creative stories and different angles, and the different production values like have
Hmm.
gone up, and
100%.
so
And I think with obviously, I'm sure all of this probably a lot of this was in the works before TKO full. Well, let me not say that because I would say probably in the early phase, I'm sure they probably had plans or something like this. But I feel like once the TKO thing fully kicked off, was probably where a lot of this was realized. And in order to continue to grow and build a new powerhouse of an entertainment company, we got to plan this. We got to go 10 years, 20. Like we need to start finding folks with these abilities because I'm gonna be honest with you. Outside of Roman, I'm I'm gonna I'm gonna put Cody in. I think Cena's probably a better example. I think Cena's probably a much better example.
yeah, that's why
We
like if you're
haven't.
trying to say like a superstar, like if you're trying
You're
to find
getting
the next superstar, not the next John Cena, but the next
that.
superstar, like a caliber, then you have to start from a certain point, and you got to find people that are willing to put in the work and the dedication to the craft to actually learn not only the physicality of the wrestling and the technique, but also the business
Business
and
side.
then the entertainment side of the business. And once you understand that, that is when you truly succeed. Because if you go back and you look at early stages John Cena, that man was bland. That man was unseasoned chicken.
Hey, listen, he's evolved a couple of times, and you know what? It takes time. Listen, I'm excited to see where this is gonna go, and I do think they will stick to this for a good period of time. And for the fans, I think we're gonna be in for one hell of a ride. And I'm looking forward to because I know me and you, Marcus, like we tune into a lot of indie wrestling as well too. Some that we've never seen before that we're just because it's wrestling, we're just piqued by it. But to be able to probably see some of these stars that we've seen on some of these shows potentially being able to be fed into that WWE system, and whether hey WWE may decide to, you know what, NXT is no longer this develop. This is just a third. This is just our third brand, and now we're going to start doing like a true developmental show again, and then you just make your way from there. NXT, Raw, Smack. Like there's so much potential behind this. Um, I'm eager to see how it goes, both from an on-screen presence to also that business perspective of it, because this has the makings of of globally doing stuff. Whether WWE, because like obviously tapping into the indie circuit in other countries, bringing styles to the states and to WWE that we've never seen. I'm highly intrigued to see how this plays out. Um, I don't want to see the indie circuit go away, but I think for those that I don't want to say have outgrown.
I don't think the indie circuit will go away for the sole purpose that you still have people like Matt Cardona who still push that indie circuit, who still makes that indie circuit thrive. I'm not saying he's the only one that does it,
Mhm,
but even some former retired WWE folk still do the indie circuit, still do shows and stuff. So I think the indie circuit is going to evolve
mhm,
and adapt to this update and change, and I think it's going to be better for it because their quality of product is going to improve, their talent is going to be recognized more because they're going to be like, hey, well, are you guys affiliated with them? I was just at their school, like, you gotta check them out. You know what, I'll go check them out. And then you got all these people going all over, going to
mhm.
these different training facilities, the WWE affiliated training facilities. Like, hey, like, I want to see what this is about. I want to put in the work. I want to train. I want to see if I'm good enough to be in the WWE.
I dig it. I dig it. So I'm here for the ride. Like I think this is an amazing opportunity for those that are currently in the wrestling business. I'm just eager to see how things play out. Obviously, this is in its early stages, so it's probably going to be, I would say, at least a year probably before we fully see how this is going to be implemented. Obviously, we got a couple schools already involved in the program, but I'm just eager to see how things play out. Listen, more stars develop equals more for the fans, which equals more for what's best for business. So I'm down to see how things go. Um, what you got on the docket for tonight?
All right, what I got on the docket for the night is a hypothetical.
Okay.
Let's say Shane McMahon still had his WWE shares, right?
Ooh. Okay.
Let's say when his father stepped down, he sold those said shares.
Hmm.
What if he joined with AEW and replaced Tony Khan and actually was like the on screen executive vice president?
If we're just talking about
Well, not even the
on
executive vice
screen,
president, just like the overall chairperson that you see on screen, the one making the like, you know, the
on
boss.
screen is what you're saying. Yeah. Um, I don't think I would be upset seeing him on screen. Now, I think you know what I will say is with Vince no longer in the picture and Shane possibly trying to do something a little bit different, I don't think I would quite be upset with it. Um, I think Tony, like, listen,
But like
um,
Tony becomes like the like the money person. Like, he's
yep.
no longer like on screen anymore. It's now Shane running the show. It's Shane doing the matches. It's Shane talking to the talent, keeping the talent in line, etc., etc., etc.
I think I would be okay with trying this out. I think we agree. Tony on screen just didn't. We need to. We've seen less of him and I think the less is a good thing. Um, but having somebody else come in to actually be that face, I think could be a good move for the business. Um, I've been thinking for a while now that maybe they were in the works of having someone do that. Right now, the person that I would see honestly outside of the Shane piece that could well, probably would do it would be Brian. Uh, let him go out surgery, get healed up, and to come back to be that face. Shane, as much as I think he has a good understanding of the business and things for it, I don't know if he necessarily would be the right person for it. I think him backstage could be a good thing, a good asset to have. But as an on screen, I think I would want someone like a Brian Danielson. I think someone like him would be much more of an impact than Shane would. Um, and I think with Shane, the unfortunate piece is he's a McMahon, and he's forever going to be compared to the Vince, to what the WWE did. So he's going to have, it doesn't matter where he goes, he's going to have a hard thing that he's going to have to try to live up to, even though honestly to me it would be irrelevant at that point because he's just trying to establish and do something different. Um, I think Shane as an on-screen character could be cool as maybe like I think as a manager or something like that. Maybe not necessarily running like Dynamite or something like that. Maybe working his way up to it, but I don't know if the addition of Shane is going to the addition of Shane I don't think is going to garner trying to
I
get
think
more eyes on the product. If maybe
I
that's
think Shane, if Shane were in charge, I feel like production will run smoothly, the matches will be better paced, creatively it would be a lot better because they'd be like, no, that like this isn't going to really work. Like if this is how you want to, if you want to do this, this is how you should do it. Because he has that experience, and then he has that business mindset of like he's been around the Eric Bischoffs, he's been around his
mhm,
father, he's been around all these people in charge and how the business is run, and not just from a fan point, not just from a fan perspective, but as an actual competitor and as someone that was doing things behind the scenes. So I
mhm.
feel like all of that will put AEW in a way better spot than where it is if Tony is, since Tony is still in charge in this hypothetical. Because no matter what, people will still respect Shane McMahon because he was an actual in ring competitor. He was an actual wrestler. Outside of whatever his last name may be, he still competed in the ring, regardless. And because of his last name, he has that business experience because he was also a talent and because he was working under his father in trying to be his own man. Like
Mhm.
he was a part of the ring apron crew and the lighting people and all of that stuff. So he has that background. He knows how it's supposed to flow.
I dig that. I just like if let's just like say hypothetically if he came in, the only thing I don't want it to end up turning into is then he then comes in and becomes a WWE basher. Like, listen, I'm all for every now and then someone on AEW throwing the shot at WWE. Let's be real, WWE they don't give a shit. I know we've seen Triple H made a couple of little, very small but clearly big shots is saying like, yeah, we don't deal with those other ones across like
I mean,
the
they say they
Earth.
don't acknowledge the competition, but yeah, here they are. They're working with TNA.
But hey, but you know what? I wouldn't consider like don't get me wrong. Actually, anytime someone else is doing the exact same thing that you're doing, I guess you would consider them to be a competitor. But I think with the way WWE is and being in the entertainment piece of it, I don't think they see a lot of them. It's the same way that like let's take like our gaming consoles. Like at one point, Microsoft with Xbox saw PlayStation and Nintendo were their competitors, But then once they realized because of what it is that they're trying to do and stepping into the box, they evolved from focusing on them to like your Googles and your those bigger companies like that. So I think WWE has kind of shifted gears, and that's why we're seeing like the WWE and the TNA partnership type of thing happen currently right now. Because matter of fact, I was having a similar conversation with a friend at work, and he believes that somehow like WWE has already has like monetary, like some type of purchased piece of TNA, which I honestly I don't think that's in there at all. Like I think the two of them have definitely come to a mutual benefit from having each other's stars being on each other's shows.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is right now solely mostly NXT to Impact. But by the time we get to the Royal Rumble, we're going to see the likes of like a Joe Hendry show up and being able to square off with like Cody's going to be champion, so he ain't going to be in the Rumble. That sucks. But just to have Joe Hendry probably being able to stare at Roman Reigns, even though that he ain't being Roman Reigns, I feel like we start to see these mutual things coming into play here.
The real question is, with it's interesting because with the you mentioning the Royal Rumble is because if it's TNA thing, I would suspect the TNA World Champion to make an appearance in the Royal Rumble.
I listen.
And if that does happen, there's no way Dolph is going to agree to it.
I
Nick
don't know.
Nemeth, I'm sorry.
Well,
Nick
Nick
Nemeth.
Nemeth, right? I don't know. I think under the old regime, it'd probably be a big fat hell no. I think currently with the way things are working, may not. Obviously, I don't know if he necessarily
But
come back.
the WWE verse, like they don't know Nick Nemeth.
Hey,
Like a
listen,
few of them do, but they don't know Nick Nemeth.
it's going to be introduced. Obviously, they're going to have to introduce and redo it to the world. It is what it is. But like AEW, like when we shift, there was one point in time. I can't even really say that. Obviously, clearly, AEW wants really nothing to do with. I know Tony has said he's willing to work with Triple H on trying to do something, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Tony's ego is going to royally stand in the way of that actually being a thing. Um, Shane, obviously, let's say Shane was manager, being able to talk with like Trips and stuff. Hey, listen, as a business move, that could create a small partnership or small engaging type of thing. But I feel like even before the Shane steps into the manager role, they still got some stuff they got to work out in order to get things running in the smooth. Like here's my one issue, or I guess you say multiple issues I have with AEW. As of right now, I only care about Dynamite. Um, I've given up on watching Rampage, which I believe is going to end up going away anyway with under the new deal that they have with uh Time Warner or whoever, HBO and all of them for it. Collision, I feel like it's the same catalyst on Collision. It's just like we have whichever main star is there, and then we just feed them local new up and coming talent on there. And I just don't. So I feel like even before like the Shane steps into that manager role, I think we got to fix a whole bunch of other stuff. Like I was just backstage, you may be able to do some things, but you gotta make me fully care. Like and you know me, I was avid AEW, but things have just like I'm not one like I watch Dynamite and their pay per views. I'm just not I'm not fully invested the same way I was when things first kicked off. Um and I guess minor.
It's
Do
a
you care about
prime
minor
person.
spoilers right now? Let me
Hey,
ask you
that's because the prime person with the dream
this.
left.
You care about minor spoilers from Dynamite? As a matter of fact,
Nope.
Private Party just beat the Bucks and are now the tag team champions. I'm
Good
super
for them.
happy. I'm
Good for
super
them.
happy, and
About
I'm
time that they
definitely
finally wanted the tag team gold.
that's been something that's been in the works, and it should have been that trigger should have been pulled a long time ago. I'm happy they were able to beat the likes of the Bucks, which is probably going to set us up at least for one more type of thing. But I gotta fully care about everything. Like right now, I care. Take a WWE. I care about Raw. I care about SmackDown. I care about NXT. Like there was a point when NXT did that shift when they decided to go from the gold brand and then to make it into
2.0
the 2.0
color
colorful.
graffiti.
I the change was just so weird, and I'm happy now that Sean and Trips, William Regal, all of them had that input to kind of get things shifted back, but still taking another step forward. Um, I don't see AEW with Shane making those type of moves. Like I just feel like AEW just has so many other pieces of the puzzle that just need to get fit into place first before we just start. Like, listen, AEW's checkbook is ridiculous, obviously, with the cons and being able to feed the money from the Jacksonville Jaguars and the stadium into the company. Like, don't get me wrong, they're doing okay, but
Could be
I,
better.
it could be better. Like, I just want, like, there's stars that I absolutely will tune in to see on a weekly basis. But when I'm only caring about your one show right now, you got other things to worry about than just trying to get Shane McMahon to come in here and being your manager. So, do I think you may make a dent in things? Maybe, but I think they got a lot more lifting that they got to do. Like right now, I don't want to. Listen. The more wrestling, the better. I don't want to see AEW go under. I want them to continue. I want them to thrive. There are pieces of it that I absolutely love. They've got it. They're going to have to start making some serious changes. Otherwise, they're going to end up running into issues sooner or later. Um, and
I dig it.
I don't think Shane. Like I think Shane could be an asset, but I don't know if he's necessarily the asset that they need to worry about right now.
Okay.
But if he shows up, don't get me wrong, they've been teasing the Bucks ran into him. They had a conversation. It was cool to see. Like I have no issues with Shane. Like seeing him back on screen somewhere is gonna be kind of cool. But I don't know if he's the end all to be all to fix stuff. But who knows? We've seen weirder stuff happening. So
Indeed.
I
Okay.
dig it. I dig that. So I like that conversation. So those have been your first couple topics. For all you guys watching and listening, everyone's going to get this, but we're about to make a shift and go ahead and we're going to do that Patreon exclusive topic. So, in order for you guys to hear that one, of course, you got to be a member of Patreon. So, jump over to the link beacons.ai/loading snacks where you can click join Patreon and get that last topic that we're going to talk about. I think we had a good conversation here tonight. Let us know how you feel about the WWE ID program and the hypothetical Shane McMahon being that on-screen manager personality or wherever you think he would actually fit in. Let us know how you think. Drop some comments down below. If you guys are listening, of course, you'll also be able to provide some of that feedback as well too, or just jump on over to YouTube, comment on our finisher podcast videos. That's where you're going to be able to find those full form videos for you. I thank you guys for taking the time for either watching or listening. By the time you probably are watching this as well too, stop breaking stuff, Marcus. Just, by the time you probably either see or hear this, Our predictions for WWE Crown Jewel will also be live as well too. Fortunate enough to have Sin alongside with us for that. Um,
Yeah,
Definitely some interesting picks that we did. Some very similar picks. I think we really only had like one major difference on the show, but
yeah.
there's
Well,
some
two.
there's some two, but there are some concerns and some issues that we still have regarding how the whole crown jewel champion thing is going to play out. So I would say take some time, go over, check that prediction show out, and leave some comments on there on what you guys think. Um, but we're gonna go ahead, sign out from this so we can do our Patreon. And once again, thank you guys for either watching or listening for the main one. Hop over to Patreon to get that exclusive topic. But till the next full episode of The Finisher, this is your boy Jokes. Got the homie Marcus. We'll catch you on the
Yep.
next episode.
Loading snacks.